Hello again and welcome to the Warhammer 40k video. So today I'm going to be doing a Black Templar tactics video. Haven't done many of these before and I've been using my Black Templars on and off for quite a while now. They're honestly one of my favourite armies and I thought it's about time that I did just a little tactics video on what I consider to be the most important Black Templar unit there is, which is the Crusader squad. Now, the Crusader squad, for those of you that don't know, is a unique unit only available to the Black Templars. You can't take Ultramarine Crusader squads, you can't take Salamander Crusader squads, you can only take Crusader squads if you are running the Black Templars chapter tactic. Okay? And they are an alternative to a tactical squad. And as a Black Templar player, there is no reason that you should ever be taking tactical squads. If you're a Black Templar, you should always take Crusader squads without a shadow of a doubt. Now, there are a couple of unique things. Well, I'd say there's three unique things about the Crusader squad. Okay? The first one is you can take a mixture of neophytes and initiates in the same squad. Now, what does that mean? It means that Black Templar Crusader squads are made up of both regular tactical marines and scouts in the same unit. Okay, initiates are what the Black Templars, tactical marines are initiates to Black Templars, and neophytes are scouts. I'll try and refer to it just going forward now as marines and scout models because it'll be make it a little bit clear for those who aren't sure how the Crusader squad works. Okay. So that's the first thing. So you don't have to take these units as separate. They come in one squad. The second thing that is unique to Crusader squads is that you can take them in up to 20 models in one squad. You can take 10 Marines and 10 Scouts in the same squad, which is really cool. Now, in previous editions, you could only take one Scout for every Marine you had in the unit. Basically, what it was is the initiate had an apprentice, which was the neophyte. You can only have one for one. You could always have more initiates than neophytes, but you could never have more neophytes than initiates. In 8th edition, that's gone. In 8th edition, if you want to have 5 regular Marines backed up by 10 Scouts, you can do that in the same squad. You don't have to have the one-to-one anymore. Now, so that's cool. So you can, but you can take 20. So you can take 10 and 10 in one squad and have this big 20-man Marine squad, which is quite intense. It's quite good. Now, the third thing that is kind of unique about Crusader squads is that you can give them bolt pistol and chainsword. Again, it's kind of like a Crusader squad is a scout squad, an assault squad, and a tactical squad all rolled into one. Again, unless you're planning on deep striking them, if you're wanting assault marines as Black Templars, don't take assault marines. Just take Crusaders. Again, there's no real point in you taking assault marines unless you want to put jetpacks on them. Now, as you can see, with these three things combined, you have an incredibly tactically flexible unit. Okay, you've got one that can take close combat weapons, one that can be taken in a big squad size, and all can be taken in a small squad size. Now, there are a few other interesting little traits about Crusader squads. One, you are allowed to take in a 5-man squad both a special weapon and a heavy weapon. Normally, in a tactical squad, you'd only be allowed to take a special weapon in a 5-man squad or a heavy weapon, and to get both you would have to go up to a 10-man squad. Not so with Crusaders. With Crusaders, you can create what is called a faux Devi squad or Devi light squad, where you take 5 guys and you give them a special weapon, a combi weapon, and a heavy weapon. It's pretty cool. Other sort of interesting, unique thing about them is their sergeants aren't called sergeants. They're called sword brothers, which is kind of cool. And finally, they have the option to take a power weapon on a regular Marine. So you have the choice when making a Crusader squad to take either a heavy weapon or a power weapon. Now, a lot of people aren't so keen on taking power weapons because in 8th edition, because the initiate is still just a basic marine, so he only has 1 attack base, which means you only get 1 additional power weapon attack. But it's still an interesting thing, and I like taking power weapons on them because it's cool. Now, so that is the Crusader squad, and that's sort of the options available to you. Now, there are 3 main ways to run a Crusader squad. You can do whatever you want with them. They are a tactically flexible unit. If you want to have a mixture of randomly, 7 initiates and 8 scouts, and you want half of those initiates to have bolters and the other half to have bolt, pistol and chainsaw, and then you want some of those scouts to have shotguns, some to have bolters, some to have bolt, pistol and chainsaw, you can do that. You can mix and match, but it's generally not advised. The Crusader squad is generally best to being specialised to a certain role. Okay? And as I mentioned before, the first role is the Foe Devastator squad. Now, this is one that has been very popular with Black Templar players for a long time. Okay? Because it's so cheap. It allows you to get 3 special and heavy weapons onto the field for an incredibly cheap price point. And what people tend to run is a plasma gun, a combi plasma on the Sword Brother, and a las cannon, las squad. Because if you take your 65 points for your basic 5 guys, 25 points for the las cannon, you're looking at 90 points, and then you have 28 points for your plasma and combi plasma. So you're looking at 118 points for 3 special weapons, which you pop those guys in a Razorback with twin heavy bolter. You've got yourself a knight. You take a couple of those things. That Razorback, what's going to cost you? Probably less than 100 points for twin heavy bolter Razorback. For around the 200 to 220 point mark, you take a couple of those squads, and you've pretty much got an objective nicely secured with good fire support. Those 2 units together can take on any reasonable threat. They've got anti-infantry and the heavy bolters. They've got anti-tank and with the las cannons, and a bit of anti-everything with the plasma. So that is how a lot of Black Templar players like to run their Crusader squads. Now, the second way is you can run a Crusader squad is completely in the opposite direction, and you can just take 20 guys in one squad. Okay, take a big blob squad, because this is something that I have learned with my Black Templars. There's nothing quite like 20 Marines to ruin your opponent, just chopping your opponent up, ruining his day. A lot of people like to poo-poo Marines. A lot of people say they're weak. A lot of people say that tactical Marines are pointless, and that there's no just take the big stuff with the Marines. Black Templars see this argument, give it the middle finger, and say, actually, there are few things in the game, point for point, that can stand up to 20 hardened Marines, especially when they're backed up by a chaplain and a lieutenant. That is a lot of attacks. It's 40 attacks. If you've got a chaplain, Grimalda's there. Crusaders, the more buffs you put into them, the more they explode in terms of efficiency. So you've got 40 attacks. You have 2 or 3 of these squads, and it's not even that expensive because it's just basic Marines with bolt pistol and chainsword. You don't give them anything special. You go for a maximum amount of attacks. You've got like 40 attacks. You have 2-3 of these squads. But you have 40 to 80 attacks. You can put Grimaldus near them so they're getting to reroll all hits, and any 6s to hit generate additional attacks. So you're just exploding on your dice. You're getting 10, 15 extra attacks. You're looking at like 100 attacks, and then you can have Helbracht near them, which I believe gives them the +1 strength, which means suddenly they're all strength 5. Although I'm not sure if Helbracht only affects models, but still, you still have 20 attacks. Sorry, you still have 80 attacks from 2 squads, rerolling all hits, hitting on 3s, re-rolling 1s to wound, potentially wounding on potentially wounding many infantry on many. Think about the most popular infantry at the moment. Things like fire warriors, things like guard. A lot of infantry out there at the moment that is considered to be good infantry is like toughness 3. And yeah, I'm not saying you're gonna get all 40 of these guys in there, but what I am trying to say is you can very easily it's a lot of attacks. It's 80 attacks, re-rolling hits, re-rolling some wounds. You're just gonna carve through anything. If you have 2 of these squads, and imagine there's an orc tide coming your way, and you counter attack with 2 of these squads, you are just gonna wipe away so many orcs. So it is a good unit. How I've seen it, rather than taking the full shebang of like 40 choppy Crusaders, how I've seen a lot of Black Templar players run it is having 16 Crusaders in a Land Raider Crusader, and then have a chaplain and a chaplain with jump pack. And what happens is the Crusader drives up, just fires all its guns to weaken the enemy. The jump pack chaplain drops down. It's got the Crusader helm on, so his buffs are all 9 inches. And then the 16 Crusaders come out of the tank, and you've got 32 attacks, just re-rolling hits, just going in against anything, and it's powerful. It is good. And a lot of people think, oh, it's not that much, but trust me, it's weird. Marines are quite good in combat. I know they shouldn't be, and I know there's probably a lot of people rolling their eyes now, but trust me, I've run my Black Tide, and a lot of people dismiss it. They think, oh, it's only Marines, and then suddenly it's not only Marines when those Marines are all in amongst you, all in your lines, going to town. It is definitely middle tier at the very least. Now, the last way to run the Crusader squad is the way I like to run the Crusader squad, and that's in its 10-man format. Now, the reason, and I've mentioned this in my Black Tide video, okay, it's a nice balance between the faux Devi squad and the Horde squad. Okay, both the faux Devi squad and the Horde squad have their purpose in a take all comers list. You're going to want to have some fire support. You're going to want to have maybe one big 20-man blob of Marines as a counterattack unit, and then you're going to have things like Crusaders and Terminators and other bits, and that's why you'd have a mix. If you're going for a Black Tide, it's actually vitally important you don't take 20-man squads and you take 10-man squads. And the reason for this is you don't want wounds overspill. If someone fires a really good volley into my 10-man Crusader squads and I fail 12 saves, I only lose 10 guys. If I had a 20-man squad, I'd lose 12 guys. Okay? So if you're running full Black Tide, it's actually best to take 10-man squads, because it maximises the amount of special weapons, power weapons, and heavy weapons that you can take in the army, and it reduces the amount of casualties you can take from overkill. And what you typically find people do is they don't quite get it right in terms of dedicating firepower, and they'll either typically overkill a squad or completely underkill it and barely do any damage to it. People do find it quite tricky to deal with just a 10-man squad. People are so used to in 8th edition these days dealing with little 5-man elite squads or 20-man big squads that no one really thinks about how to deal with 10 Marines. They just overdo it or completely underdo it. And that's how I like to run my Crusader squads. 10 men, half neophytes, half initiates. And the reason I like to do this because that essentially gives you Marines for 12. Everyone says Marines need to be only costing 12 points. Marines should only be costing 12 points. Well, you know what? When you do that, you have got Marines that cost 12 points. You've got 5 scouts and 5 Marines in the same squad. But guess what? A lot of the time, how I tend to make this work, and the reason this works having half and half, is because it allows you to play the armor save game. So when your units are getting hit by some like small arms and you've got 10 Crusaders in cover, just take that on the 3-up save on the scouts, or on a 2-up save on your initiates, and suddenly, or a las cannon comes streaking in. You don't want to lose one of your good power armor guys. Make a neophyte jump in front of it, and you're never really going to make that save anyway. So that's why a lot of people don't like tactical marines, but many Black Templar players will state that we have the most efficient marine infantry, and it's because we essentially get our tactical squads for 12 points per model, because it's 13 points for tactical marine, 11 points for scout, so it comes to 12 points on average, and that's what people are saying marines need to make them a little bit more competitive. So there you go, guys. That is my sort of everything you need to know comprehensive breakdown of the Crusader squad. It is a tactically flexible unit. It can be made to do mass shooting. It can be made to do mass close combat. It can be made to do a bit of both. It has some unique things, like you can take a power weapon on a basic guy. You can take lots of heavy and special weapons in a small squad. You can go up to 20-man blob squads. It's a really good, unique unit, and this is the thing I'll sign off on it. A lot of people like to dismiss Black Templars as being a very rigid, purely close combat marine force. They are not. Black Templars are an incredibly diverse army, even more so than regular marines. And our units and our Crusader squads reflects that. Our Crusader squad can be tailor-made to do anything. It is an incredibly flexible unit, and that's why a lot of people underestimate Black Templar players, because we have this unit which can be. We can take entire armies of one unit and of one thing, which is Crusader squads, and each squad can be completely different to the next. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you leave lots and lots of comments, and I'll see you guys next time.